Hi, this is Randy. Uh, I wanted to make what I hope is my final video. I wanted to review the steps of bullying that create school shooters so that people can understand it. So let's start out. Bullying is a very specific word. Bullying describes physical or emotional threats, but in my definition, it is limited in its meaning. It could be the threat of physical violence, but only at a personal level. As an example, two boys have an altercation. One of them is larger and more physical, and he teases or beats up the weaker boy. That's a simple example, of course. Bullying is one-on-one and is not witnessed by others. It is instilling fear and control into someone through the acts of the bully. Then next is humiliation. Humiliation is when I bully you in front of other people. I have added a new level of pain. I have humiliated you. My bullying has been witnessed by other children or parents or teachers, and now you have been humiliated. You've been physically abused and embarrassed. You have been humiliated. Now the bullying is public. It is embarrassing. It stings. It is remembered. Everyone knows you are a coward and weak. Humiliation is much deeper and a longer lasting fear and problem. The child is embarrassed. The child remembers it, and it changes them. Some will become suicidal. Some will withdraw from society and friends as a defense mechanism. They will all be changed, and they will all remember it. Yes, some children will be resilient and let it bounce off their egos, which are strong, and not be changed, but they will remember it forever. It may teach the stronger ones not to humiliate other children, and it may teach others that humiliating children is acceptable and okay. It is the beginning of pain. The question is, how will the child react to the pain? Will they internalize it or will they externalize it? Will they become withdrawn, shy, afraid, and damaged, or will they respond with violence? After humiliation comes hypervigilance. This is the big one. Bullied and humiliated children respond in many different ways, but hypervigilance will accentuate the response. A humiliated child who is constantly humiliated will become sensitive to it. They will become afraid, and they will notice every single instance of humiliation and bullying, and they will remember it, magnify it, absorb it, until it becomes a driving force in their life. Continued bullying and humiliation will create the state of hypervigilance. Every potential humiliation, or even the hint of it, is listed and categorized by the humiliated student. They see the bully knock a kid down, and they note it. They see girls making fun of a boy, and it's remembered and accentuated. They hear laughter from across the room, and they know the laughter is about them. They know it. They are afraid. They are embarrassed. They become hypervigilant. Every instance of interaction in a school is a reflection on them or on the bullies in the school. They accentuate the fear, and they learn they are not safe, not protected. This leads to suicides, depression, dropping out, sadness, and changes in personality. It can also lead to violence. Since they are being humiliated and no one is defending them, a few children will decide to be violent and get revenge. Violentization, yes, that is a word you are normally not familiar with, violentization. It is discussed in great deal in Lonnie Athen's book, The Creation of Dangerous and Violent Criminals. And it is the process that some boys and girls will use to defend themselves. It starts as a simple standing up for yourself, but in subtle ways. Fighting the bully is impossible, so they will dye their hair black, wear dark clothes, wear sunglasses, and start to bully or humiliate other children. They respond to the fear by creating fear. This process of violentization is what creates criminals and violence. Certainly not in all cases, but it is a major cause. This process requires a mentor, a teacher, who will instruct the hypervigilant and defensive child in ways to act and how to be tough. In school shootings, the mentors are the bullies, then other bullied kids at school who have learned to fight bullies as a group. In school shootings, video games are a mentor. They teach the bullied child how to fight back with knives and weapons and bombs. And in school shootings, movies are a mentor. They teach violence and violent responses to injustice. I don't need to give an example here, do I? Here's a short list. Death Wish, Bloodfather, Natural Born Killers, Kill Bill, The Punisher, Falling Down, Mad Max, 22 Bullets, RoboCop, Death Wish 4, American History X, A History of Violence, Super Dark Times, Scarface, 7, Collateral, John Wick 2, The Equalizer, Shooter, John Wick 3, Vengeance, Death Wish, Carrie, The Brave Ones, Acts of Vengeance, I Am Wrath, and hundreds of other movies. The mentor does not have to be the criminal next door. It can be, and is, the violence in theaters and on television. We ignore it. These children watch and receive instructions. Video games, some of them, act as a mentor too. The violent ones teach the coldness of killing and death. They teach the ease of killing. They teach violence. They are the unfeeling, cold, cruel, impersonal teacher of death. At some point in the process of violentization, the bullied child makes a decision to be violent. They decide to get revenge. That accounts for the rarity in general of school shootings. It takes a continued environment of bullying and humiliation without intervention on the behalf of the bullied child for the process of violentization to reach the point where the bullied child makes that decision. It takes time for the bullied child to decide to be nonviolent and more time to get the weapons and build the bombs so that they can carry out their plans for revenge. They are just living the lessons they have learned in the movies and on television and in the violent video games. Their environment is the mentor that teaches them to get revenge, to kill those who have wronged them. The last stage is violence. Constant humiliation and bullying will create, in some victims, a violent response. Living with fear, living with the awareness that they are being bullied and humiliated will, in some cases, create a response of violence. If I bully you enough, if I humiliate you enough, you may respond with violence. It is a way of rebuilding your damaged self-image. It is a way of stopping the humiliation. It is the way of stopping the fear, and fear is a great motivator. The wonderful author James Gilligan writes in his book, Violence, about this, and it is profound and well documented. In that book, he states very simply that humiliation creates violence. Constant humiliation creates a need for justice, a correction of the perceived injustice that the child is living. Constant humiliation creates a need for violence and therefore revenge. There you have the recipe, the creation of school shooters. Yes, this is a simple overview. Yes, this is applicable mostly to school shooters, but it does apply to many criminals. That is the process. It takes most of those steps without interference from an outside source to reach the level of a school shooter. The humiliation has to be consistent and sustained. It has to remain uninterrupted, without someone stopping it or defending the humiliated child. It has to remain secret, which with the boy code of never telling anyone is pretty common. As a bullied child, I'm not going to tell the principal or my parents. I might tell my brother, or he might see it. If he does and does something about it, I may never develop a hypervigilant state, and the process may be interrupted. I would never tell my mother or father. My mother wouldn't be able to stop it. My father would tell me to be a man. To a bullied boy, that is a hopeless source of protection. The boy code gives power and immunity to bullies. One teacher, one school administrator can stop it, or by simply being vigilant and watching for abuse. So can one parent, so can one friend. But it has to be acknowledged, it has to be addressed. Humiliation creates violence. Take away the humiliation and the angry boy will not need to go to school to get revenge. And then the final lesson, and this is directly to school shooters. I want you to listen to this. You've been bullied and you want to get revenge because you've been humiliated and you're angry. And now you're going to, by choosing violence, become the very thing you hate. You're going to be the biggest bully. And that is the wrong decision. The correct decision is to choose nonviolence. Get out of the situation, get away from the bullying, become what you love, become someone you admire now. Become someone who is nonviolent. Become a kind, caring human being. You don't have the right to inflict the pain you're going to on these innocent children. You just don't have that right. And you've also become the very thing you hated. Become the thing you love. Okay, That's the lesson I learned from Columbine. Thank you.